Every level of comic Speedsters explained. Level 1, Trashed. Trajectory. In 2006, DC rolled out a year-long weekly series called 52, a project designed to fill the publishing gap left by Infinite Crisis. Out of that experiment came Eliza Harmon, better known as Trajectory. On paper, she was meant to be the newest speedster in the DC universe, a normal woman given powers through Lex Luthor's Everyman project. In reality, she became a case study in how not to build a speedster. Her speed was a serum injection, tailor-made to give her the same velocity that heroes like Wally West carried naturally. The downside? It was unstable. Every time she tapped into her powers, her body began breaking down. Her story burned fast. She tried to position herself as a legitimate hero, even joining other young metahumans to prove herself. But her judgment faltered under the addiction-like pull of the serum. When she refused to back down, it ended in tragedy. Her body disintegrated at super speed, leaving nothing but dust on the pavement. In comics, speedsters are usually tied to ideas of legacy, mentorship, or pure raw talent. Trajectory symbolized warning label stapled into canon. The dangers of cutting corners when it comes to speed. Her entire arc barely lasted months, and outside of a later Flash TV cameo, she's remembered as one of DC's most forgettable experiments. Whizzer. Marvel's golden age gave us the Whizzer. Robert Frank, created in USA Comics #1 back in 1941, was supposed to be Marvel's answer to the booming superhero craze. His origin story? A mongoose blood transfusion combined with a snakebite. That's right, one of the earliest Marvel speedsters owes his powers to a mongoose. He raced onto the scene with the invaders, fighting alongside Captain America and Namor, and later helped form the Liberty Legion. Despite the bold debut, the Wizard never broke through the way his peers did. His powers were modest, superhuman by the 1940s pulp standard, but nowhere near the speed gods Marvel and DC would build later. He could sprint at incredible velocity, outpace a car, and had endurance beyond a normal human. But in the decades that followed, Robert Frank was more often a footnote than a frontliner. He resurfaced in the Silver Age, tied awkwardly into mutant lore when writers teased that Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch might be his kids. That connection was eventually dropped, and the Wizard faded back into obscurity. Level 2, Bad. Johnny Quick. Every superhero world has a mirror, and for the Justice League, that's the crime syndicate of Earth 3. Their speedster is Johnny Quick, and he's the definition of menace without mastery. Where Barry Allen spends his life solving mysteries, Johnny's entire brand is chaos. His powers in the New 52 came from a freak accident with lightning and chemicals, echoing Barry's origin, but the comparison stops there. Johnny uses speed as a blunt instrument. He thrives on intimidation, blurring across cities, tearing apart infrastructure, and taking cheap shots during syndicate invasions. The most infamous was Forever Evil, when the syndicate arrived from Earth 3 and flattened the League in record time. Johnny and his partner Atomica broadcast terror on a scale that proved how dangerous raw speed can be when pointed at destruction instead of heroics. But here's the problem. Johnny's ceiling isn't high. Against normal humans, he looks unstoppable, but against a focused Flash, he crumbles. His recklessness, drug habit in some storylines, and lack of refined technique keep him stuck in the second tier. He's a speedster that shines in group attacks, but never feels like a one-on-one threat against the true elites. Speed Demon. Marvel's take on the bad speedster archetype came through James Sanders, a guy who started out as the Wizard of the Squadron Sinister, a parody version of the Justice League. Later, he rebranded as Speed Demon, leaning into villainy. His power source was a chemical formula from the Grandmaster, and while it gave him serious velocity, Sanders was never known for finesse. He ran fast, he threw quick punches, he stole, and he ran away. Spider-Man fans will remember him as part of the Rogues Gallery during the 80s and 90s, usually as comic relief in team-ups with the Wrecking Crew or the Masters of Evil. But the name Speed Demon carries another wrinkle, the Amalgam era. In the mid-90s, DC and Marvel mashed their characters together in a short-lived imprint, and one of those hybrids was a hell-themed speedster called Speed Demon, mixing Ghost Rider's occult flavor with the Flash archetype. The look was wild. Chains, fire, and speed all in one, but the concept never stuck beyond that mini line. Today, when you hear Speed Demon, most readers think of James Sanders, a guy who raced into panels, got smacked around by Spider-Man, and never reached higher than henchman with wheels. Level 3, Mid-Quicksilver. Pietro Maximoff has been racing through Marvel Comics since 1964, introduced in X-Men #4 alongside his sister Wanda. His early years were messy, sometimes a villain with Magneto's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, sometimes an Avenger trying to prove he belonged. At his core, Pietro is the speedster defined by personality as much as power. Writers leaned into his perpetual impatience, giving him a restless energy that fit both his super speed and his temper. On the battlefield, he has the feats to back his reputation. He's evacuated entire crowds in seconds, reacted to bullets mid-flight, and pulled off maneuvers that put him in the upper tier of Marvel speed. In Avengers #104, he crossed a battlefield so quickly that the Sentinels couldn't even track him. During House of M, his presence helped reshape reality itself, showing just how central he could be to Marvel's biggest storylines. At the same time, Quicksilver's portrayal has been wildly inconsistent. Some runs make him blisteringly fast, almost Flash-like, while others peg him as merely a step above human speed. That tug of war in writing has always kept him mid-table. He shines when the drama with Wanda, Magneto, or Crystal, his inhuman wife, gives his speed context. But when left in a vacuum, his powers rarely elevate him into the pantheon of greats. Bart Allen, Impulse. First appearing in The Flash, #92, 1994, Bart was a kid from the 30th century, the grandson of Barry Allen, born with an unstable metabolism that made him grow at an accelerated rate. To stop him from burning out, he was sent back in time to train under Wally West. Instead of becoming a disciplined student, Bart became Impulse, the hyperactive, reckless speedster who treated danger like a game. Impulse made a name for himself in Young Justice and Teen Titans, where his unpredictable style often frustrated teammates but gave him moments of brilliance. He learned by doing, running into situations with zero hesitation. And somehow finding a way to survive. His tenure as Kid Flash showed growth and highlighted his inconsistency. In Jeff Johns' Teen Titans run, Bart was nearly killed by Deathstroke, and when he eventually stepped into the mantle of the Flash after Infinite Crisis, the responsibility didn't stick. His solo run as Flash ended quickly, with the character written out after only 13 issues. Yet despite the setbacks, Bart remains one of DC's most beloved speedsters. His humor, energy, and sheer unpredictability gave him an appeal that Barry and Wally never carried in the same way. He embodies the joy and recklessness of the Speed Force, but his lack of consistency, both in character writing and power levels, keeps him in the middle tier. When the storylines lean into his impulsive charm, he can light up the page. When they force him into maturity, he loses the spark that made him unique. Level 4, Mid-High, Jay Garrick. Back in 1940, when DC launched Flash Comics #1, readers met Jay Garrick, the first man to wear the title of the Flash. His origin was simple: Golden Age pulp, a college student who inhaled hard water vapors in a lab accident. From that accident, he gained speed far beyond any human, sprinting across the page with a metal helmet modeled after Mercury. Jay became the archetype for DC's earliest speed storytelling, fighting crime with the Justice Society of America and setting the stage for decades of Flash lore. As the decades rolled on, Jay's story evolved. When DC reshaped its universe with the multiverse concept, he was reintroduced as the Flash of Earth 2. That gave him new life as both a contemporary and a mentor to Barry Allen, the Silver Age Flash. Later retcons tied him into the Speed Force, but Jay was never defined by raw feats alone. His role was that of an anchor, steady, reliable, and always there when younger heroes faltered. He showed up in crises not as fastest or flashiest, but as the experienced veteran whose presence gave the team confidence. His signature moments highlight that balance. In Crisis on Infinite Earths, he fought alongside Barry and Wally in one of the most devastating battles in DC history. In Justice Society of America runs through the 2000s, he served as the wise leader. Even as his top speed often lags behind the younger Flashes, he stands as the Flash family's foundation. The man who proved speed could be heroic long before the Speed Force was even imagined. Jesse Quick. Introduced in Justice League Quarterly #10, 1992, she was the daughter of Golden Age heroes Johnny Quick and Liberty Bell. Unlike other speedsters, her powers came from a formula, a mathematical equation her father created that allowed her to tap into super speed. The formula itself, 3x2 9yz 4a, became her unique signature, one of the quirkiest power activations in superhero comics. Her story took her across multiple teams. She joined the Justice Society of America, stepped in with the Titans, and became a reliable ally whenever the Flash family needed extra hands. Unlike her father, she inherited Liberty Bell's strength powers, not just speed, making her one of the more versatile members of the Speedster lineup. What made her stand out wasn't just what she could do, but how she balanced it. She ran Quick Start Enterprises, a business career that grounded her outside the Cape while still honoring her family's heroic tradition. Her importance comes through in pivotal arcs, where she acted as the bridge between generations. During Wally West's tenure as the Flash, Jesse often filled gaps when the family needed support. In Infinite Crisis, she played key roles alongside the larger DC roster, showcasing her ability to adapt under pressure. And unlike many speedsters whose powers consume their lives, Jesse retained a strong sense of identity. Level 5. Good. Godspeed. August Hart burst onto the scene in Joshua Williamson's The Flash, Rebirth, run in 2016. Introduced as one of Barry Allen's closest allies at the Central City Police Department, he looked like the perfect partner. Smart, dedicated, driven by the same desire for justice that defined Barry. Then the twist came. When the Speed Force storm erupted, August gained powers of his own. Instead of using them to stand beside Barry, he carved out a new identity. Godspeed. His white and gold suit symbolized a different kind of speedster, one who hunted. His defining ability is Speed Steal. He can drain velocity from others and even create speed clones, splitting himself into multiple versions to overwhelm enemies. This made him a nightmare for Central City's other speedsters, who suddenly found their greatest weapons stripped away. Unlike Barry, August saw speed as a tool for vengeance. He executed criminals instead of locking them up, eliminating threats permanently. His arc was controversial. Fans debated whether he was a Mukothim, vigilante trying to clean up the city, or a villain consumed by his own trauma. Across the Flash comics and later CW's Flash show, Godspeed became one of the most memorable modern additions to the Flash's rogues and allies list. He's not a legend yet, but he has the unique powers and layered motives that keep him above average. Savitar. In the mid-90s, Mark Waid's Flash series introduced a new kind of adversary. Issue number 108 of Volume 2 brought readers Savitar, a Cold War pilot whose experimental jet was struck by lightning. The accident bonded him with the Speed Force, but where Barry and Wally sought balance, Savitar obsessed over speed itself. He built a cult around his philosophy, drawing in followers who worshipped him as a god. His entire existence revolved around studying and mastering the Speed Force in ways others barely understood. Savitar could do things most speedsters couldn't: share his power with others, drain speed away, and generate force fields of pure kinetic energy. For Wally West, fighting him was about dismantling a fanatic's worldview. Wally ultimately trapped Savitar inside the Speed Force, but the impact of his ideology lingered. His legend was big enough that CW's Flash adapted him as a main villain in Season 3, though in a very different form. In comics, Savitar remains the zealot who took the Speed Force from science into religion. He embodies speed as a belief system, and that obsession makes him one of the most dangerous adversaries the Flash family has ever faced: Red Death. The Dark Multiverse gave DC some of its most chilling what-if creations. And in 2017's Dark Knight's Metal, Bruce Wayne was fused with the Speed Force to become the Red Death. On Earth 52, Gotham had collapsed into chaos, and Bruce believed Barry wasn't doing enough to save it. Desperate, he built a machine to merge himself with the Flash, forcing Barry's essence into his own body. The result was a corrupted fusion. Batman's mind and Flash's powers twisted together. The Red Death was unlike anything readers had seen before. His abilities were speed-warped through Bruce's paranoia and brutality. He could generate swarms of bat-shaped speed energy, drag enemies into distorted time zones, and weaponize the Speed Force like a storm. Visually, he was terrifying, a blackened Bat-Flash hybrid armored in red streaks. Within the Metal storyline, he served the Batman Who Laughs and fought against the Justice League in a multiverse war. Red Death's story is short compared to the long careers of Jay or Barry, but his impact was immediate. He showed the horrifying potential of what happens when speed and obsession are combined with Batman's relentless drive. Level 6. Great. Barry Allen. When Barry Allen sprinted onto the pages of Showcase number 4 in 1956, comics history changed forever. He reignited the superhero genre, ushering in the Silver Age. His origin is iconic: a police scientist doused in chemicals after a lightning strike, gaining the power of super speed. Where Jay Garrick was the blueprint, Barry was the reinvention, shaping the modern concept of the Flash. His clean red suit, the lightning bolt symbol, and his scientific approach to crime fighting all became defining features of DC's lineup. His impact goes beyond aesthetics. He is deeply tied to the Speed Force, unlocking techniques that turned speedsters into something more than runners. Time travel through vibration, phasing through walls by shaking molecules, summoning Speed Force lightning, all became staples because of him. His sacrifice in Crisis on Infinite Earths cemented him as a legend. Racing to stop the Anti-Monitor's cannon, Barry disintegrated into the Speed Force itself, disappearing from comics for over 2 decades. His death was so impactful that it stood as one of DC's few permanent losses until Final Crisis brought him back in 2008. He represents the Flash as a symbol of hope, science, and sacrifice, the foundation that every speedster after him has been measured against. Zoom, Hunter Zolomon. Debuting in The Flash, Volume 2, number 197 in 2003, Zolomon was a profiler for the Keystone Police and an ally to Wally West. After a tragic accident left him crippled, Hunter begged Wally to change time for him. When Wally refused, Hunter turned on him. An explosion with the cosmic treadmill broke his connection to time. He manipulates his personal timeline, creating the illusion of speed. That's why he always seems untouchable. To him, everyone else is moving in slow motion. His philosophy makes him terrifying. He believes tragedy is essential to shaping heroes, so he creates it. In the Blitz storyline, he attacked Wally's pregnant wife, Linda Park, causing her to miscarry. It's one of the darkest turns in Flash history, designed to break Wally down and make him stronger. Unlike Eobard Thawne, who obsesses over Barry, Hunter focuses on his twisted belief system, which makes him unpredictable and chilling. Few villains force a hero to question their morality as much as Zoom did for Wally West, and his unique temporal power sets him apart from every other so-called speedster. Max Mercury. If Barry is the scientist and Hunter is the nightmare, Max Mercury is the sage. Originally created in the 1940s as Quality Comics' Quicksilver, Max was later folded into DC and reimagined as the Zen master of speed. He's not about flashy feats or headline victories. His role has always been about understanding the deeper nature of the Speed Force. Max explains what others only feel: the currents, the barriers, the flows of energy that shape every speedster's abilities. In storylines with Wally West and Bart Allen, Max acts as a mentor, teaching them how to control their gifts. His own history is strange and fragmented. He kept skipping forward in time after pushing himself too far against the limits of the Speed Force. This left him out of sync with the world, but rich in wisdom. While he may never outrun Wally or Barry, Max holds a unique place in the Flash family. He is the teacher who ensures the next generation doesn't burn out before they understand what the Speed Force really is. Level 7. GOAT. Wally West. He first appeared in The Flash number 110 in 1959, introduced as Barry Allen's teenage sidekick, Kid Flash. At the time, he was another in a long line of kid partners, brightly costumed and modeled after his mentor. But decades later, Wally would be the one to carry the entire Flash legacy forward. After Barry's sacrifice in Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1985, Wally stepped into the role of the Flash, and that transition became one of the most successful legacies in comics. He grew from an impulsive teenager into a fully realized hero, and in doing so, he defined the Speed Force more than anyone else. His feats read like tall tales. In terminal velocity, he outran the collapse of a city to evacuate every citizen within seconds. In the human race storyline, he raced across the universe against cosmic entities, tapping into the Speed Force in ways Barry never had. He's the one credited with outrunning death itself, leaving even the Black Flash behind. Unlike many heroes, he surpassed Barry's shadow. Writers like Mark Waid and Jeff Johns expanded his mythology, giving him a wife, kids, and a Flash family that anchored his humanity. Fans still debate whether Wally is the definitive Flash, and for many readers of the 1990s and 2000s, he is. Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne. Eobard Thawne made his debut in The Flash number 139 in 1963. He was a man from the 25th century obsessed with Barry Allen's legacy. His fixation twisted into hatred, and through time travel and speed experiments, he became the Reverse Flash. Unlike other villains, Thawne fights to erase Barry's very existence. His most infamous act was murdering Barry's mother, Nora Allen, an act that rewrote the Flash's origin and set up years of tragedy. His abilities are as terrifying as his motives. As the founder of the Negative Speed Force, he can disrupt Barry's connection to the Speed Force and destabilize timelines. He's immune to paradoxes, meaning no matter how many times Barry defeats him, Thawne finds a way back. He has destroyed entire eras of Barry's life, turning birthdays and weddings into battlegrounds. What makes him enduring is that his victory is making Barry suffer endlessly. Black Flash first appeared in The Flash, Volume 2, number 138 in 1998, and ever since, he's haunted speedsters like a shadow waiting at the finish line. He is the Reaper of the Speed Force. Whenever a speedster's time is up, the Black Flash arrives to drag them into the force they've spent their lives running with. His presence changes everything. Wally West was the first to encounter him, a dark figure with skeletal features and a lightning bolt grin. Wherever he showed up, time seemed to twist, and speedsters found themselves powerless to escape. Even Barry Allen and Bart Allen weren't exempt. When Black Flash comes calling, it means the race is over. What makes him terrifying is that he isn't tied to morality or vendetta. Reverse Flash wants to break Barry's legacy. Zoom wants to force heroes to suffer, but the Black Flash simply does his job. He's inevitability given form. Writers later used him as a vessel for bigger forces, like when he became tied to Necron during Blackest Night, or when Zoom temporarily carried the mantle, but the core idea always stayed the same. He's the speedster's death. He doesn't need elaborate plans or speeches. His presence alone is enough to shake the Flash family. Every speedster can outrun bullets, storms, even time itself, but when they see the Black Flash, they know the truth. There's no running forever. And that's it. Now to you. Out of every speedster across these levels, who do you think truly deserves the title of fastest man alive? Comment down below.